Honestly, I don't know if this recording is going to work, but I'm walking the dog. Car just drove by. I'm walking the dog. It's about 9 o'clock at night here in the Rochester area, and things are weird. Uh, it's another loud car. You can hear it. I don't know. I'm recording using Bluetooth earbuds, and like I said, I don't know if I'm going to ever put this anywhere, but I have to get my thoughts out a little bit. You know, I for years have struggled with a combination of anxiety and depression, and you know, I don't like seasons like the one we're in right now, and it's very difficult to sort of behave normally in the midst of it. So I'm recording this to kind of, I don't know, I guess clear my head. You know, it's weird. I'm a homebody. So the idea of not leaving my house for 14 days actually is pretty appealing. I don't like going places unless I really, really want to and have a reason to. You know, I go to work every day. Every day's like wash, rinse, repeat, you know? I just kind of, you know, just go to work, come home, feed the kids, give them a bath, you know, occasionally take them to a karate class or the library or, you know, something, and then put them to bed and then go to bed myself. You know, every day is kind of like that. It's a pretty average lifestyle for a guy my age with kids their age. You know, part of me is kind of nervous. There's another car. Another car coming too. Um, there's I've only seen about 6 cars since I've been walking. It's still early. Typical night you see a lot more than that, but I live in a small town, so maybe it's not abnormal. I just notice it a little bit easier. You know, it's weird, like, sort of when you own a red car, you notice all of the red cars around you, that sort of thing, I guess. I don't know. So it's weird, you know, the panic starts to set in, which is why you're watching on the news. You'll see people getting into fistfights over hand sanitizer and toilet paper. And you wonder, you know, the coronavirus, COVID-19, the Wuhan virus, Kung Fu flu, whatever you hear it called. I like coronavirus. It's just easier. It's not as controversial. Uh, it you know, it's scary. You know, you don't really know what it's going to do. You don't really know how fast it's going to spread, how many people are going to die from it before there's a vaccine developed. And you have a choice, to either bury your head in the sand or just be wise or be stupid. You know, uh, I've chosen to be wise, I think. You know, we've got enough supplies, nothing too elaborate. We don't have a year's worth of toilet paper in our house. So we have enough to get through the time we need it to get through. And I don't think the supply chain is going to be disrupted that much. But, and I don't know, I like being home. So it's kind of nice to know that I can be home and everybody that I love, for the most part. I mean, there's a few people that, aren't under my roof anymore, uh, aren't around in the local area anymore that I love, but the majority of the people that I care about, being my wife and my 3 younger kids, even my dog, at least they're safe, and they're healthy, and they're fed. Thinking about quarantine and the possibility of working from home, which is something that I'm probably going to end up doing after this week. And it's attractive because it makes me feel safe. It makes me feel like the people that I love are safe. And I think that's why we all sort of went a little crazy. Why a lot of people went a little crazy getting into fistfights over hand sanitizer and toilet paper. So I'm trying to process this stuff. I'm thinking about fear, thinking about love, and there's a scripture that says perfect love casts out all fear. And, some people will say, well, perfect love is embodied in Jesus, and they'd be right. Some others would say that perfect love is just the idea of sacrificial love, of giving yourself for others. And yeah, that's a lot like Jesus too. But when you love somebody, you're less afraid. At least that's what they tell me. But I think when you love somebody, you're always afraid. At least I am. I'm afraid of being rejected. I'm afraid something will happen to them. I don't know. Fear is a heck of a motivator, and when you're fighting the enemy that is fear, fighting that enemy for your own, you're not fighting it because you hate the enemy. I do hate fear, but you love the people behind you, and you're trying to protect them. And, it's one of those things where you almost don't feel like you can protect anybody from this. But we're going to do our best, right? Yes, we are. On the bright side, I'm thinking about quarantine. I'm thinking about how would one survive if they could not leave their house for up to 14 days? And how would they do that without going nuts? Everybody has that. I saw a meme, what could go wrong? And it was the family from The Shining. I would say that, that there were some other circumstances that resulted in Johnny going crazy. Now I'm in like the heavy traffic area, so you're just gonna hit cars. Sorry. So, how do you survive 2 weeks in the same place without being able to go anywhere? The introverted part of me, which is a big part of me, thinks that's the greatest idea ever. I'd survive. But I don't think everybody's not like me. Uh, I wouldn't expect you to be, but I'm thinking about, how do I survive? How do you survive? And I'd encourage you with a couple things. Number one, this is the best time to catch up on sleep. And I don't mean by sleeping all day, because we still have to work. Some of us still have to work from home and we have kids. But this is the best time to sleep for 8 hours at least a day. Um, if anything helps calm anxiety, one of those things that does that is sleep, getting enough of it. So sleep. If you, I know some people that may be listening to this have babies, and I get that. I have 4 of my own that are not so much babies anymore, but if you have a baby, sleep when they sleep. It's the simplest answer. When they nap during the day, nap. I know it's way more attractive to try to catch up on whatever you want to binge watch in your quarantine time. And you can do that, but my biggest suggestion would be sleep when they sleep, because you'll be well rested, you won't be anxious. And the next thing it reminds me of, I read to my kids, to my daughters especially, the Little House on the Prairie books. We got through most of the series. I don't think we read Little Town on the Prairie. I think that was where we ended when Laura went off to become a teacher. Was the last one that we started and we never finished. But anyway, I was thinking about that book because one of those books, it was The Long Winter. And in that book, the family was actually forced to quarantine, not because of sickness, but they got snowed in. Like, they got a lot of snow. And they couldn't really leave the house. It was cold, it was snowy, and they were stuck in their house. And they spent their days quarantined, But what they did during those days are really inspirational to me, at least for this time, in that they spent their days doing, the work of the home. The family business is what we call it, where we have chores, and they would take care of the chores, which was like, for them, it was animals and laundry and cooking and stuff. They did all that, and then they would spend the rest of the time either educating themselves, like the girls, because they only had daughters in this book. The girls would spend part of the day doing some school work, working on a composition book or whatever they had back then. I don't remember to be exact. I haven't lost my ability to speak English. And then they'd start to work on a new skill, like learning how to patch a dress or knitting or crocheting or needlepoint, things like that. So in that spirit, I'd encourage you, if you have this time at home where you can't leave, you can't go anywhere, or you shouldn't go anywhere, try to learn a new skill. We are in the greatest information age, where pretty much anything is at our fingertips. So learn a new skill. I'm going to actually try to learn how to play